Welcome back everyone for a team-up avenging Stranger Things 5 watch party. Folks, Season 4 ended on the biggest cliffhanger ever. The four small gates ripped Hawkins apart and created a link between the Upside Down and the real world. Like in Mistborn, the ash started to fall. The plants started to die. The rift is expanding. The final image looks as if the gates of hell were opening up onto the world. In fact, you can expect people to make that exact reference next season. Vecna is on the move. He's hurt but not out. On second thought, maybe shooting him out the window wasn't the best idea. Should have just kept him up there flaming until he died. Speaking of which, presumably they left the Upside Down the way they came in? Does that mean they, left the house and walked right past his burning body on their way out? Wouldn't they check to make sure he was dead? It's kind of an important point. Always check to make sure the bad guy is dead on your way out. Either way, Elle fought Vecna and she lost. She wasn't strong enough to beat him. It's also unlikely she ever will be. Vecna gains the powers of everyone he kills. He absorbs everything from them.
They're not gone, 11. They're still with me. Here.
He even makes it clear he has their consciousness. The implication of this is clear. Elle can stand there with her hand out all she wants, but she won't be able to beat him in a straight-up fight. She needs backup. Luckily, the backup is here. This will likely be the main key in Season 5 to beating Vecna. It's going to be a team effort, and more of a team effort than anything we've seen before. Instead of splitting up, they have to all come together. It's time for everyone to power up. It's the Avengers Assemble moment of Stranger Things. If there's any chance of beating Vecna and the Mind Flayer, they need the Stranger Avengers. It's not even an exaggeration. In a show about the supernatural, we are long overdue for more characters with powers, or at least powers that they use. Season 5 is the last season, so they might as well go out with a bang. Let's start with Will. Basically since Season 2 or so, especially when he was possessed by the Mind Flayer, he has been able to feel him or sense him when he was close. There's definitely a connection there, and it's true it really hasn't come up much in the series so far. Like in Season 4, it's only mentioned at the end. He feels something. Now Vecna went into the minds of several people in Season 4, but none of them got Will's ability to sense him and know what he thinks. Since we know Vecna takes the life and powers of people he kills, it's also possible he can leave behind some of his own power when he full-on possesses someone, like he did Will. Or if it wasn't precisely his own power, maybe it was one of the powers he absorbed from the kids at Hawkins. I think the key difference between Will and Max and the others in Season 4 is he took over Will's body and controlled him as opposed to just going into their minds to torment them with their worst memories. Now, at first, Will's powers may not seem too impressive. He can sense when Vecna is close. While that isn't very helpful because the literal gate to hell, or at least the Upside Down, also lets you know Vecna is close. He also said he knows how he thinks, which could at least help in some situations. Certainly Dustin would think that's helpful in a strategic sense. But what's important is Will has never done anything to tap into or enhance his power. Elle and the others trained their whole life developing their abilities. Could Season 5 have Elle training Will to further develop this power? Since he did get some sort of power from Vecna, maybe Elle can figure it out and help him train it. And in this training, maybe they'll realize there's more he can do than sense when Vecna's close. Maybe Will can go into Vecna's mind. Maybe he can take the battle to him. If Will can get into Vecna's mind, then presumably Elle can then piggyback from Will into Vecna as well. Then they would both be there and they'd be ready to fight. Next is Max. Obviously she's not officially dead, and there's a reason for that. She's still alive, but nothing is there. Elle looking into her blank mind is a strong indication that Vecna grabbed her consciousness the way he did everyone else. Maybe if Will develops his power, he can be the one to dive into Vecna's mind and bring her back. That would certainly put Will into a major role. Will goes into Vecna's mind to find Max, and Elle piggybacks along for extra support. There's also a lot of speculation that Max could come back with some sort of power or gifts, but I think it's going to be a little bit more tricky. You know Vecna takes all the powers and consciousness of people he kills and stores them in his head. You also know he took Max and almost certainly has her alongside everyone else. The other people, their bodies are long dead, they can't come back, but Max is being kept alive. I'm saying the other people, their consciousness or whatever, maybe they can share their powers with Max. I mean, why not? It's all in Vecna's mind. That way, if when Will or Elle or whoever shows up to save her, she can come back with more than with what she came. She has some of the powers and abilities and knowledge from the others who died. They give it to her. They pass it over. It would almost be like the souls of those who died giving part of their power to her in order to stop the monster who killed them. What's interesting is that she could even get their knowledge on how to use the abilities as well. Very little training would be required. Max wakes up as one of the strongest, supercharged characters in the show. I suspect she won't be able to get everyone's abilities, but getting some would be a major game changer. Now let's look at the next heavy hitter for the super team. Number 8. Okay, she was only in one episode, but she is still out there. And while I know she isn't exactly a fan favorite, considering how season 4 ended, you know, the gateway to hell, the upside down merging with her reality, it's extremely likely they will go after her for the final showdown. They need all the help they can get. What's unique about number 8 is she has a totally different power. She can control what someone sees. This is very different from Elle and will change the battle against Vecna a lot. Her powers against him will likely be used in a few stages. The first would be her doing what we've already seen before. She can make them invisible. She can make things appear to distract him. She can't beat him by herself, but she can certainly give everyone else an advantage. But then, since number 1 was at the facility, he almost certainly already knows her powers. He may be taken by surprise once, but he wouldn't be taken by surprise again. Besides, he can sense and go in other people's minds. It doesn't help to be invisible to him if he can just go in your mind and see where you are. But I think this is where it could get really interesting. How will number 8's powers be used if Vecna is in her mind or they're in someone else's mind? Think about it. When 8 was making people see things, in a way she was controlling their mind. It wasn't an illusion or hologram, it was completely mental. So if they're actually fighting in someone's mind, she may be able to control everything. I'll explain. In the real world, 8 makes a mental image for someone that they see, but it's not really there. It's only in their mind. That's the key phrase. It's only real in their mind. Now what happens when they are in someone's mind, just like how Max and Elle were at the end of season 4? Then 8's mental projection would actually be real. It's fake in the real world, but real in the mind world. It's like Inception or something. There could be limitations to this. I'm not sure she could do it in her own mind, or if she was projecting it to someone else's mind, but it does follow the rules that have been established and really opens the door for some mind-blowing cool stuff. Now let's look at Elle. So far she has been the heavy hitter of the group. She basically saved the day in the first 3 seasons. Only in season 4 she wasn't strong enough to beat Vecna. Elle definitely has some room to grow her powers in season 5, and we already got a hint of that. The key is when Elle managed to bring Max back to life. Now some people think Elle restarted Max's heart, and that certainly is a logical guess. We are told directly that Max's heart stopped, but then consider the scene. Elle sees Max unconscious with Lucas holding her. She doesn't know her heart stopped. It's not like Lucas was shouting her heart stopped, her heart stopped. That implies Elle didn't just use her powers to get her heart beating again. It was something else. In fact, the show itself implies this. It has a montage of all their happy times together. I think Elle tapped into something here, a different side of her powers. In a way, maybe it was the opposite of what she's done before. Now, consider the Duffer Brothers. We wanted to make a show with grounded, real characters who had supernatural powers. The key theme is their powers are activated by uncontrolled anger and rage. In order to achieve your full potential and save the day, you have to unleash your anger in a violent, uncontrolled rage. Does that sound like something they would say? Is that what they were thinking when they made this show? But yet, it's what we've seen so far. Constantly, Elle is told in order to unlock her powers, she needs to be angry.
Something that made him sad, but also angry. Do you maybe have a memory like that?
The Batman were trying to take you away again, and that made you angry. Good. So find that anger. Focus on that.
It's worked. So far, the anger has been the key to getting her power. But then, is it possible she has powers she can unlock with something else? Do you really think anger is the path to great powers was the message these guys were sending? In these final moments, you see Elle shed a tear. Then we literally see good memories. Then we learn Max survived. Whatever Elle did, she did it with love and happy thoughts. It is the literal opposite of what number 1 himself told her. This will be the biggest key. Elle can embrace power Vecna cannot. She can do it with happiness or love. As a young boy, he was cruel. She's always been the opposite. I'm not entirely sure what she will be able to do with that. Perhaps she undoes the damage Vecna caused. Maybe it's how she puts the world back together again. But there's definitely something there. The Duffer Brothers are not making a show about how the greatest power in the world is harnessing your anger into violent rages. Instead, Elle will use love or happiness to channel a power that's only been hinted at here. This will be the key to undoing all of Vecna's damage. As for the others, you can see Nancy with more guns. She has shown quite an aptitude with firearms so far, and she's only getting more badass. Likewise, Steve has his martial weapons. Like the Avengers, everyone has a role to play and everyone is going to fight. So if you like these Stranger Things videos, you can really help me out by hitting the like button and leaving some sort of on-topic comment. Like, it's always been helpful, but apparently the YouTube algorithm's using that even more now, so I'd really appreciate it so people can find these videos. If you like this one, be sure to check out my breakdown on Max. It's a good one. I'll be back soon with some more character analysis. Have a great day. I'll see you at the next watch party.